Hello students, once again this side Priyanka Mehta. In my today's video, I'll be discussing about cache memory mapping techniques in which we are going to see how main memory blocks can be mapped into the cache memory, and basically we are going to discuss three different techniques: direct mapping, fully associative mapping and set associative mapping. So these are the three different techniques which can be used in order to perform the cache memory mapping. Fine. In my previous videos, I also discussed about the concepts related to main memory as well as cache memory. So I'm not going to discuss those concepts once again, but I'm going to take the mapping techniques directly.
So students, let me start with the main memory to cache memory mapping techniques. But before we discuss the mapping techniques in detail, let me just give you a brief idea about cache hit as well as cache miss. Now, in my previous video, I have already made a discussion about these two things, but let me just again give you a brief idea once again, which will help you to understand things in a more clear manner to understand the mapping techniques. So just I'm taking it very quickly. So as you all know that whenever a processor needs to read data, it is going to first examine the cache memory, and if the data is available in the cache memory, in that case the processor is going to directly read that data from the cache memory, and hence we call it a cache hit. But what about if data is not available in the cache memory? So in that particular case, if your data is unavailable in the cache memory, in that case the requested data is going to be searched from the main memory. And hence, after searching the data from the main memory, the processor is going to read the data directly from the main memory. Fine. Now, it is also important to note that after reading the data from the main memory, a copy of data is either transferred or mapped from main memory to cache memory. So I've highlighted this point here in my slide just because to concentrate more in depth that this is how my mapping techniques is going to be defined. So while we are copying or mapping the data from the main memory to cache memory, we need to understand first how this data is going to be mapped. And for that, I'm going to discuss with you all three different strategies. All right. So as I have already told you that cache memory mapping is a technique that is going to define that how a block of data is transferred or mapped from main memory to cache memory, just in case if there is a cache miss. So mapping is just simple copying your data from main memory to cache memory. And for copying your data, I need to consider three different strategies: direct mapping, fully associative mapping, and K-way set associative mapping. So there are three different techniques of mapping. So I'll take one mapping technique in detail. But before I take those mapping techniques in detail, I'll make certain assumptions which you need to consider throughout my video. All right, this will make things much more clear to you all. So one assumption I'm making is that the main memory is divided into equal number of partitions called blocks, which will be denoted as capital B J, where J is from 0 to n. It means that a main memory will have total n number of blocks, and this n could be written as 2 raised to power s. Similarly, I'm also assuming that my cache memory is divided again into equal number of partitions called blocks, which are denoted by Bi bar, where I is from 0 to m, which means that my cache memory has total m number of blocks, and m can be written as 2 raised to power r. Now, next assumption says that n is quite larger than m. Very simple, since I know that my main memory is quite big in size as compared to cache memory. So this implies that the total number of blocks in main memory, which is denoted by n, is somehow very much large as compared to the total number of blocks, that is m, in my cache memory. Also, I'm going to assume that in each block I have B words where B is equals to 2 raised to power W. So these are the assumptions which I am considering just now, and you are going to remember these assumptions throughout my video just to understand the three mapping techniques. So my first mapping technique is direct mapping. So understand this particular direct mapping technique is very rigid in nature. Why? Because this mapping technique says that a particular block of main memory can be mapped only to a particular block of cache memory, which also means that I cannot map my main memory block to any of the cache memory block. Hence, I can say that my main memory block can be mapped only to one cache memory block, but which cache memory block, that we need to understand. So the main memory block Bj is mapped to cache block Bi by using this following modulo function, which says that Bj can be mapped to Bi, or I can say main memory block can be mapped to cache memory block if I is equals to j modulo m. So just remember this formula because we are going to use this formula in order to understand the direct mapping. So this mapping technique is quite rigid in nature, but it is the simplest cache organization. So even if you're not getting what this direct mapping is, I'll be shortly discussing one example which will give you a clear idea how this direct mapping is actually working. So this is the diagram which is given to you. Don't get confused. Just follow my words. Now, on my right hand side, I have a main memory which is divided into blocks denoted by B0, B1, B2 and so on. In the middle, I have a cache memory which is again divided into blocks denoted by B0 bar, B1 bar and B2 bar and so on. On my left hand side, I have a memory address. Now, this memory address will be used to access a particular address either from cache memory or from main memory. Or basically it is a memory reference to read the data either from cache or main memory. Fine. Now as you can see that my memory address is divided into three parts. But before I discuss those three parts, let me also tell you this memory address is made up of S plus W bits. So first understand what is S plus W bits. Well, my S bits are going to specify the block address within a main memory and W bits are going to specify the word offset within that block. Alright, now let's come to this part that this memory address is divided into three parts: tag, block and word. Understand this. Here the W bits will be used as the offset within the cache memory block. R bits are going to specify the cache memory block and the remaining S minus R bits is the tag bits which I'm going to compare with all the tag bits of the blocks, and whichever tag bit gets perfectly matched, that particular block of the cache memory will be selected and its R bits will be used to access that particular block and W bits will be used as a word offset to read a particular data from the cache memory during a hit. But just in case if there is a miss, in that case I am going to utilize my S plus W bits to read the data from the main memory, where my S bits is going to give me the block address in the main memory and W bits will specify the word offset or the word address within that block. Fine. So this is what I have explained to you all. Now, as you all know that once the block Bi is uniquely identified by the block field R bits, the tag associated with this block is compared with the tag in the memory address. So basically the tag bit in my memory address is going to be compared with all the tag bits of the cache memory block. Now a cache hit occurs when the two tags match, otherwise there is a cache miss. So in case there is a cache hit, so definitely the word offset, that is the W bits, is going to be used to identify the desired word within the cache memory block. But just in case if there is a miss, then the entire memory address, that is S plus W bits, will be used to access the main memory block. So the S bits are used to locate the block and W bits will be used to locate the word within the block. Fine. So now let's see how this mapping can take place. Now this mapping is basically done when there is a cache miss. Fine. Forget about cache hit. If there is a cache hit, then we need not to map any data from main memory to cache memory. But just in case if there is a cache miss, then definitely the processor is going to read the data from the main memory. After reading the data from the main memory, it is going to map the main memory block into the cache memory using which formula? Using this formula I have given you in the slide. Now Bj will be mapped to Bi bar only if I is equals to j modulo m. So this formula will be going to use it just to see that how this mapping will take place. Now just see that clearly that on my left hand side I have a cache memory. Total number of blocks in the cache memory is equals to 4. That means m equals to 4, which is equals to 2 raised to power 2. It means r is equals to 2. So in my previous assumption, I already told you that m is going to denote the total number of blocks in cache memory. M, which is equals to 2 raised to power r, which gives me the value for r equals to 2. That means r bits are going to identify the particular cache memory block. So 2 bits will be required. Similarly, here in the main memory, total number of blocks denoted by n is equals to 16, which can be written as 2 raised to power 4, which gives me s is equals to 4. So again, don't forget, in my previous assumption, I have already told you that n is equals to 2 raised to power s, which gives me s equals to 4. Hence, 4 s bits will be used to identify a particular block into the main memory. Now, how you are going to identify the tag bits? Now, tag bit, it was denoted by s minus r. So, s is 4, r is 2, which gives me tag is equals to 2 bits. Fine. Now, how this mapping is going to take place? Now, let me talk about the very first main memory block, that is B0. I just want to see that this B0, where it can be mapped. So for that, I'm going to use this modulo function. It says that Bj can be mapped to Bi. Bj is B0. It can be mapped to any of the cache block. For that, I'm going to use my j modulo m function. So j modulo m, value for j is 0. If I'm talking about B0 block, so j is 0. Modulo m, the value for m is 4. So 0 modulo m, that is 4, 0 modulo 4 gives me value 0. It says that my B0 main memory block can be mapped into the block B0 bar of cache memory. Similarly, let's talk about B15. So here j is 15. So 15 modulo 4, it gives me what? It gives me 3. It means my B15 block, main memory block, can be mapped into B3 bar cache memory block. Fine. So based on this formula, I can directly find out that my B0, B4, B8 and B12, these all main memory blocks can be mapped into the B0 cache memory block. Similarly, my main memory block B3, B7, B11 and B15 can be mapped into the B3 cache memory block. So using this modulo function, you can directly find out which main memory blocks can be mapped to which of these cache memory block. So this is all about direct mapping, and you can see that this particular mapping technique is quite rigid in nature. This is because there is a restriction that I can map my B0 main memory block only into the B0 cache memory block. I have no flexibility to map my main memory block to any of the other cache memory block. So this is the rigidity that has been offered by this particular direct mapping technique. Alright, so my next technique is about fully associative mapping. Now, unlike direct mapping, this particular technique is not at all rigid in nature. It is quite flexible. Now, this flexibility has been offered because of this particular condition. Each block in the main memory can be mapped to any of the available cache memory block. So, whichever cache memory block is available, I can simply map my main memory block into it. So, this is quite simple, because you need not to apply any modulo function. Directly you can map any main memory block into the cache memory block which is right now available. All right. Now, the name fully associative is derived from the fact that an M-way associative search requires an S-bit tag to be compared with all the block tags in the cache. So, this statement will get clear once you see this diagram once again. So, I'm not taking this diagram again into detail, but just figure out some important things. Here, the memory address is divided just into two parts, tag and word. So my entire memory address S plus W is going to be used to refer the main memory. S bits will be used to identify a particular block into the main memory, and W bits are going to be used to read a particular word in the block. Now coming back to this, my memory address is divided into two parts, tag and word. So tag, it is denoted by S bits. So this tag S bit is going to be compared with all the cache block tags. Now whichever tag gets matched, only that particular block will be selected. Its W bits will be used to read the particular word from the cache in case of a cache hit. But if there is a cache miss, in that case we are going to directly read the main memory block using S plus W bits, and afterwards we need to map the data from main memory to cache memory. So this mapping I have shown here. So in this example, on my left hand side I have a cache memory having blocks m equals to 4, which gives me 2 raised to power 2, where r value is 2. Main memory blocks, I have n equals to 16, which can be written as 2 raised to power 4, which gives me s equals to 4. Now, hence my tag bits will be 4 bits, because tag bit is denoted by s bit. Now, since s is equals to 4, my tag bits is equals to 4. Now, I just want to see that which main memory block will be mapped to which of my cache memory block. So here my B0 main memory block can be mapped to any of the available cache memory block, which means my B0 main memory block can be mapped either to B0 bar or B1 bar or B2 bar or B3 bar. So whichever block is free right now, on that block it will be mapped. Similarly, if I talk about my B15 block, it can be either mapped to B0, B1, B2 or B3 bar. Fine. So overall, this technique is quite flexible in nature, because there is no such rigidity that I can map my main memory block to any one of the particular cache memory block. No, it can be mapped to any of the freely available cache memory blocks. Next is set associative mapping. Now this particular mapping technique is basically a combination of direct mapping and fully associative mapping. How, that we are going to see, but here certain assumptions I'm going to make again. Now I'm just assuming that since in a cache memory, I am assuming that there are total number of blocks denoted by m. Now those m number of blocks are grouped into sets, which is denoted by V. Now each set will contain k number of blocks, which means that if I need to identify that how many sets are there within a cache memory, I can simply calculate it as V equals to m divided by k, which means m is my total number of cache blocks divided by the k, that is the total number of blocks within the set. Now on dividing these two figures, it will give me the total number of sets within the cache. Now, how this mapping technique is going to follow? First of all, it is going to follow the direct mapping technique, which says that a block of main memory can map only to a particular set of the cache, which means it is following the direct mapping technique, and hence we are going to use the same modulo function to perform this particular mapping. Afterwards, once a particular set has been selected, now within a set, as I told you, that there are k number of blocks, which means that my main memory block can be mapped to any of the available cache block within a set. Whichever block is free, it can be mapped. All right. So I'll just take the diagram first. So here, as you all can see, that my cache memory is now divided into sets denoted by S0, S1, S2. Now within each set, there are some number of blocks. Fine. Similarly, your main memory is also divided into blocks. Now here my memory address is divided into three parts. The W bits is simply the word offset within the block. Now D bits is going to specify a particular set in the cache memory, and the S minus D tag bits will be compared with a particular set blocks. Fine. So basically what I'll do, my D bit is going to specify a particular set. Now within this set there are k number of blocks. So the tag bits of all the k blocks will be compared with the S minus D tag. Now if there is a match, in that case a cache hit has occurred and W bits will be read, or W bits will be used to read the data from the cache memory. But just in case if there is a miss, in that case we are going to make use of S plus W bits to read the data from the main memory. So we'll just see one example which will make things quite clear. Just don't get confused. Understand this example. Now on my left hand side, I have a cache memory. My cache memory has total 8 blocks, which is denoted by M. So M is equals to 8. Also K is equals to 2, which means that I'm grouping 2 blocks. So how many sets I can make? So set V is denoted by 8 divided by 2, which is equals to 4. So basically my cache memory has total 4 sets denoted by S0, S1, S2, S3. Each set will have 2 blocks. Alright. Now the tag bits will be equals to 4 bits, which is given by the S bits, which is equals to 4. Now since my main memory has total 16 blocks, which is denoted by N, it can be written as 2 raised to power 4. This gives S equals to 4. So S bits will give me the particular set bits. Now I just want to see that. Let me first talk about the B0 main memory block. So in order to find out my main memory block B0, I just want to see that in which of the particular sets my B0 can be mapped. So for this, just look at the below mentioned modulo function. So Bj can be mapped to Bf. Bj is my main memory block. Bf, basically it is denoting the cache memory block. So if I equals to j modulo v. So j is my block number of main memory, modulo v is the set. So how I'm going to map this technique, just see here. If I talk about my block number B0, so j is equals to 0, 0 modulo v. So total number of sets is 4. So 0 modulo 4 gives me 0. Hence, it is quite clear that B0 can be mapped into the cache memory set S0. Now, within this set S0, there are 2 blocks available, B0 bar and B1 bar. So, whichever block is free, my B0 main memory block can be mapped either to B0 bar or B1 bar, whichever it is available at this particular moment. Alright, so initially we followed a direct mapping technique to identify a particular set on which a main memory block can be mapped, and later on within the set, whichever block is available, my cache memory block can be directly mapped into it, which is free at this particular moment. So this is the fully associative mapping. Similarly, if I talk about my B15 main memory block, I can find out a particular set using the following modulo function, which says that I can be mapped if I equals to j modulus v. So j is 15, 15 modulus v is 4. So 15 modulus 4 gives me 3, which means that B15 main memory block can be mapped into the set S3. Now within this set S3, I have 2 blocks B6 bar, B7 bar, which means that B15 can either map to B6 bar or B7 bar. So this is how this particular set associative mapping works. So I'm sure things are not very difficult to understand until and unless you take one example to make things clear. Fine. So wherever during this video, if you stuck anywhere, just take an example and do it with your paper and pen, and things will get very clear to you all. Fine. Still, if you have any doubts, you can just come to me through by dropping any message or queries in the comment section.
Thank you so much students for watching this video. If you have any queries or any questions related to this topic, you can simply drop your questions or queries in the below mentioned comment section. Also, please like my video and subscribe for my channel to stay updated. Thank you so much and have a nice day.